Okay, Kelly. Well, again, appreciate you coming out this evening and joining us for our interviews. As you may know, the Asian American Group's been around for about 20 years. We've been doing interviews for approximately the last 6. What we plan on doing is getting our endorsements out tomorrow around lunchtime. Excuse me. This is the same panel that was here over the weekend. We're doing our follow-up interviews tonight. We know that early voting does start on Saturday. In order to get out our endorsements, not only will we inform the individuals who we endorse, but also we get ad space, some of which is donated to us, some of which we pay for out of our own pockets, in various Asian periodicals that are sent out and placed in various Asian businesses and restaurants throughout the valley. Also, we have several thousand email lists, or email addresses that we spam out this information to. We know it's an off-cycle year, not a lot of really sexy races, especially in a primary, but we're going to do our best to inform the electorate. We took time out of our schedules to interview these people. This is who we think would be the better or best choice for these particular races, hopefully encouraging them to get out and do their civic duty and vote either this weekend or sometime during the primary process.
Sure.
So, the first question that we've generally been asking the candidates, since now you know a little bit about us, we need to know a little bit about you. Why did you decide to run for this particular race at this particular time?
Well, do you want me to go through like a biographical?
It's an open-ended question for a reason.
I am born in Southern California. I moved here in 1991 around. So I've been in Las Vegas for a long time. So I grew up here. I went to Becker Middle School, Cimarron Memorial High School, just down the way. And familiar with this area. Been in this area for quite some time. I'm sure you guys know I ran last election cycle for Assembly District 9. And we had the interview last time, which was fun. I decided to run for this seat. Well, we moved into a new district. My wife works for Zappos, and they moved their company downtown. We wanted to be closer to downtown, so we picked Summerlin because we were from that area. And as you know, sure, Barbara Sagaski's running for Secretary of State, so that seat opened up, and figured I'd jump in and try to make a difference. So that's what made me get into that particular race. My wife gets tired of me complaining about government stuff at home. Wanted me to do something about it or shut up, so that's where I've been for the last few years now. Just trying to get involved.
Well, one thing that we've been talking about with many of the candidates is education. Nevada is at the bottom of the barrel nationwide. What ideas, more short-term, do you have to try and improve Nevada's educational standing?
Well, I'm big on choice and charter schools and anything that brings parents more involvement. I feel like if a parent needs to make a choice as to where they send their child, they could just go by, this is the closest school, if they don't mind. But if they really want to have, a say in the process, and they want to do the research on the school and the teacher, then I think they'll be drawn to more involvement in the education as a whole. And I think there's not just one problem, so there's not just one silver bullet to make it better. Because I think some of it is the bureaucracy that's created in the CCSD. Some of it is the parents' involvement. School doesn't end at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. When you go home, at least for me, parents would sit down and we'd do the homework and we'd go over stuff, and you continually learn throughout the day. So I think that's another part, and you can't really mandate that. But if you look at about, I think it was 10 to 14 years ago, Florida and Nevada were about the same. They started doing more choice in education, giving parents choices, allowing them to choose different schools, and now they're not at the top, but they're in the middle of the road. I believe they're 15 or 16. The end of the story is they're going up and we're still down here. we're still fighting over the same stuff we do every time, and it's sad. So it's definitely something I would like to see, because we have had more charters, and I think we've gone in that direction a little bit, which is great. I could use more. A good example of a bill I think we missed on was the parent trigger bill in the last session, and Republicans dropped the ball on that one. We had the votes to pass that, and that would enable parents to get together and turn a school into a charter if it was failing. And so I think there are opportunities out there, and that's kind of the direction I would like to see it go.
What do you think is the main problem, other than bureaucracy?
Well, I think the one that we can control, we can't mandate parents to care more or do more. So I think that's an issue for some people. They're struggling to get by. They're working 50 hours a week, and they don't have time they come home from work and they don't have time to do the extra stuff. Maybe I don't know, but the bureaucracy is something that we can try to do. And I've knocked on a lot of doors, and I met a lot of teachers. Some are Republican, and when I talk to them, they say the district's very top heavy. The money comes in, and it doesn't really make its way down to the level it needs to be. And I know that there's infrastructure problems that need to be funded, air conditioner units that go out every year, and there's projects that need to be taken care of. But I think we do need to tackle the bureaucracy part of it.
What about after-school programs?
What about?
I mean, do you think that can that's something that can help alleviate the parents if they're not home? Or
Sure, but I mean,
should we
where does
make it
that
more
responsibility
accessible?
fall on? Is that for everybody to pay for? Is that for the parents to pay for? Or, I mean, I think any extra activity, I think, social clubs, all that stuff is great because it's a different kind of learning, and if we can get different ideas and kids moving around and doing different things with different people, I think it's great. And if they can find interest early on, when you find something that you're into, you want to learn about it and it's fun. So I would definitely want to promote that. But the question would be, where do we find the money for it, and who's it going to come from?
We have an interesting dynamic here in Nevada. In addition to the whole Republican-Democrat tension, we also have a non-insignificant amount of North-South tension.
Sure.
What ideas do you have to try and minimize that particular tension, since it clearly does come into play on literally every single legislative decision that you're going to encounter if you are elected?
Well, and this is just my personal belief, I don't look at anybody as a North or South person. I never have. I mean, I've always lived in the South, but I've never differentiated, and so I don't really know if that I would legislate that type of way. I don't know if there's specific things,
Well,
but
an example, we've been using lately, that dovetails with education, is the establishment of a state-run medical school here in Southern Nevada, here in Las Vegas. There are people who are in favor of it, saying, well, Las Vegas is our population hub, obviously. By setting up a med school here with slots for residents, if doctors start doing their residency here in Las Vegas, they're much more inclined to stay in Las Vegas, which will grow the amount of capable doctors we have, since medical care is always a question in particular states. But then there's pressure from predominantly people up north who, depending on one's view, want to keep that as a proprietary item only in the north, because that will certainly take away from UNR's potential allotment, or the dollars that it is given, since those are now going to be funded to Southern Nevada. So that's one particular example of the dichotomy between the North and the South.
Yeah, and well, I would think I guess I would base my decision on what's best for Nevada, not what's best for Southern Nevada. And if the roles were switched and we had a medical school and they wanted one in the north and there was a sufficient economy that or need for it, then I don't see why I wouldn't support it based on just a north-south divide. I think that's, to me, is just sort of kind of ridiculous. But I understand it's probably something that actually happens, but I don't think I could look like it through a lens like that.
Do you have similar feelings with respect to partisan politics, since that clearly does play a role? No one can.
Well, I have
dispute
certain
that.
principle belief, which is why I'm why I'm a Republican. But that doesn't mean that I'm a party line person. I look at every issue through my own decision making. I don't read the Republican National Committee's platform and vote that way. I read the Constitution first.
I would ask another question, but I'm taking a note on that.
Yeah, sure.
If anyone else wants to jump in while I'm writing stuff down, please feel free.
Yeah, how about you? You're not saying anything.
Be careful what you wish for. Oh, you'll rue the day.
We know that just as John mentioned, we are a population hub. So with respect to that, we know that we are a retirement capital. Okay, so right now we have 2.7 million, of which 12% are elderly that needed care. And that roughly translates between 325,000. In a couple of years, that will increase to 30%. And that is going to be based on the actual census at that time. So we're looking at between 750 to a million. And most of those elderly, as I mentioned, they needed the care. And most of the care that they require cannot be provided by family members, or they cannot do it by themselves. So they require assistance, either in a nursing home, in a group home, or other place that could provide such care. Do you have anything right now that you could come up with, you could provide to help them with, as far as, because we know for a fact that most of our elderly don't have money. They rely on their
Fixed income.
Do you have anything as far as a plan how to help them? Because when they move from their residence to a particular facility, whatever that may be, rest assured that whatever they have financially would not suffice as far as to pay for their boarding care. So do you have anything planned for now on how to help them on that aspect?
Honestly, I've never even heard of that before. So
you asked for it, so
you got it. Can't really. Yeah,
That's what you get. That's what you get,
I really
Kelly.
did, but I understand. The difficult thing for me, and I guess the perspective I look at it, is when people are on a fixed income and they've paid into systems like Social Security and Medicare for their whole lives, and they were promised something to get those benefits later in their life. The hardest thing is they're not getting the value at which they put in, because they base a lot of those cost of living increases and things on the CPI, and we know that they take out most of the inflationary parts of the CPI, so that the CPI doesn't really even move, and so they don't get those cost of living increases. Not that we at the federal level could probably even afford it anyway, but I think it's definitely a problem. I don't know where the state would come in as opposed to the federal government, and I don't know if those people would qualify for Medicaid under the new expansion. I mean, there's so many factors that go into that, and it's such an unknown number. I mean, I know you cited the census data and the age of people, but how many of those people are really in need of assistance? I mean,
Those are the actual numbers that need assistance.
Those are
12%
how do they find that out?
I'm the vice president of the Adult Residential Care Providers of Nevada,
So,
and I represent over 350 of residential group homes and over 3,500 of our most vulnerable citizens of the state.
okay. So, but then how is that number calculated? That's what I'm confused about.
Well, we attend a lot of meetings, a lot of legislative council meetings, and even the council committee that was created by the governor.
Mhm.
So, based on those, we get all the data from
Most
that.
likely from the census.
Okay. I know you're interviewing me, but let me just ask you: is there a plan that you guys have in place?
Well,
I mean, or that you would like to see?
let me ask you first. What is your open door policy as far as those concerns?
I'll listen to any issue that's part of the state, and for any citizen in the state of Nevada.
Right,
They
so
don't
I'm
have to
gonna
just
answer
live
the
in my
question
district. What?
And I'm going to answer your question because you said you're going to listen to me. The thing of it is that there is a solution, and we are the solution. We are the alternative cost housing, low cost housing. Okay. For nursing homes, for bigger facilities, the state subsidizes between $250 to $500 per day. We could offer the same board and care for $60 a day. But unfortunately, our industry is the least understood, the least compensated, and the most overly misregulated. And our concern right now is, for example, is the fire marshal. The fire marshal is giving us so much regulation to a point where in 3 to 4 years, there will be no more group homes. And we're the only ones, the only industry that could offer our most vulnerable citizens. And I'm not only talking about elderly, we also help declog the the emergency rooms. Okay, we're the only ones who could offer that, and yet our industry is being killed right now.
So you're telling me you could come to me and tell me I could save you half of what you're spending already in a subsidy?
Yes.
More than that, actually. But yes, yeah, essentially, yes. You could say,
I would definitely listen to
Essentially,
that.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because anytime we can save the state money and get the
Most
same
definitely.
service, but I mean, I would
And not
definitely
only
be,
that,
I would
there's-
listen.
there's
I
a
would,
lot-
I would definitely like to hear the plan, and I
there's
would be
a
open
lot
to it.
of prospective business coming from different states. But again, one part of it is bureaucracy. It's so hard, it's so difficult to open a business right now. And that's what turns off a lot of prospective business investors here. A lot of people used to open from California moving here. I know people from East Coast as well would like to open up businesses here. But with what the fire marshal is doing right now, it discourages them.
Well, in general, what ideas do you have to make Nevada more palatable for new small business owners, like people who have group homes, or someone who wants to open a dry cleaner or a restaurant?
Well, real quick, is there only one provider that's receiving the subsidy, or does that subsidy go out to
If
multiple
I'm gonna
companies?
discuss it, we'll take the whole.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you get that in depth.
I'll talk to you later about that.
How about this?
But
Is
no, because if it's
your-
one, then that's bad.
your
But
email address is
Yeah.
on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
anyway,
But regarding small
one
business.
of the main small business issues I see, and I was part of a family business some years back before I started my own, is the modified business tax. And I mean, even a lot of Democrats say it's a terrible tax. So that is something I would like to see go away. And I'm a low tax guy, so I don't want to raise taxes. I'm a low tax guy, but I believe the business cycle, whatever funds we need to raise for the state, we need to raise at the consumption side of the business cycle, at the end. As people spend their money, as it goes through the business cycle, that's when we need to collect our tax dollars. So, like a sales tax. That's, I think, the best way. It's fair, everybody pays the same rate. If you spend like a millionaire and live like a millionaire, then you pay taxes like a millionaire. If you don't and you live frugally, then you pay frugally. So that's where I would like to see that go. And I don't like it when we segment a tax on small businesses or a tax on this group or a tax on that group. I don't think it's fair. So
Regarding the apportionment of taxes, a lot of people are clamoring right now for mining to quote unquote pay its fair share.
yeah.
Are there any industries that you feel need to be looked at a little more closely to either increase or decrease the amount that they're paying to make things, for lack of a better term, more fair?
I'm not a miner. I don't know. It just sounds very expensive to start a mine, and it sounds like a long-term process to me. You know, to find out what's under the ground, do all of the research, do everything you need. I don't know how much permitting there is and all of that, but it just sounds really expensive. So I don't know what it takes to start a mine, but not quick to jump on them because right now gold prices are up. Because tomorrow gold prices could be down, and so or any particular mineral that they're mining for. So I'm not big on that. I need to know more information about it, to be honest with you. But I think we can look at every industry and see how we're taxing them and see if it's fair, if it's not fair. And you'll usually be able to see it because there's less and less of those types of businesses starting up if it's unfair. People say it's not worth it, I don't want to deal with it, I'm not going to do it. I mean, you know, I know when we had a small business, you know, it was always difficult to bring on a new hire even though we had a need for it, because we knew we were going to have to pay that modified business tax and you know, the unemployment taxes and all of the things that go along with it. So it was a real commitment. You had to make sure that you have the income to support it, and makes it hard. And when we have like 8-9% unemployment, I think we need to do everything we can to help people employ as many people as possible, not the least amount.